fashion news, Moschino has a new creative director called Adrian Appiolaza. It's very, very interesting how the brand of JW Anderson has managed to produce so many good designers. Because if we think of, and a runway show that I'm really looking forward to is Sean McGear, who also worked at JW Anderson. He's now the creative director of Alexander McQueen. I'm waiting patiently for that debut collection. That should be really interesting. And we also have Adrian, who also comes from the school of JW Anderson. So very, very interesting to see all his peeps spreading their wings in fashion. So to read their official statement on Instagram, it says, the House of Moschino is pleased to announce the appointment of Adrian Appiolaza as the new creative director. With a decade of experience as women's ready-to-wear design director at Loewe alongside JW Anderson, and previously in the same role at Chloé with Clare Waight Keller, Appiolaza will oversee the women's, men's, and accessories collections of the Maison, reporting to the executive chairman of Aeffe S.p.A, Massimo Ferretti. Adrian will make his debut with the Fall-Winter 2024 women's collection, which will be showcased on February the 22nd at 6 p.m. Central Eastern Time at the Museo della Permanente during Milan Fashion Week. This location holds a significant place in the brand's history as it hosted the historic exhibition Moschino X Anni di Kaos, 1983 to 1993. In 1993, celebrating the first decade of the brand founded by Franco Moschino. We are happy and honored to welcome Adrian to the family, says Massimo Ferretti. With his arrival at Moschino, Adrian brings with him a unique wealth of experience, creativity, and knowledge of history of fashion that will be instrumental to write a wonderful new chapter in the adventure of the brand founded by Franco Moschino. I was immediately struck by the explosive creativity of Adrian, a personality full of energy and enthusiasm, elements that have always distinguished the history of the Moschino brand. I wish Adrian the best to build a great success story with us. So yeah, very, very interesting story. Of course, it comes with like very sad news because, as most of you know, Jeremy Scott stopped designing, stopped being the creative director at Moschino after a very long tenure. Then, of course, Davide Ren was the creative director, and he had been at Gucci for 2 decades before he went there, and he unfortunately passed. And since then, they've been looking for a replacement. So this is now the new replacement. What are your thoughts on this new appointment at Moschino, and what do you expect from Moschino? And also, what do you like about Moschino in general, if there is anything you like about it? Anni di Chaos means the years of chaos in Italian, by the way. Thank you for the Italian translation. I definitely needed that. JW Anderson's underlings taking over the whole industry. God, I hate it here. I feel like these are the end times. I love it because I love JW Anderson. So I like it. And I think it aligns. Because if you think of JW Anderson's work, and at Loewe, because that's where Adrian was, it's very surrealist, it's very playful. It's inspired a lot by art history, but also contemporary art. And that is what Moschino is. It's very playful, artful, artsy. So that it aligns aesthetically and, you know, just like vision-wise, I think they align. It'll be a bit more difficult for, you know, someone who comes, I don't know, works for Phoebe Philo, like a Peter Doe, to do a Moschino. It wouldn't really align. So I think this appointment actually aligns. I feel like people don't really know about Moschino. They have the cartoonish vision of Scott in mind. Jesus. The new Moschino is a flop until they show something that's better than Jeremy Scott, which I doubt is going to happen. Jeremy was perfect, still devastated, and in mourning. Jeremy was just fun. McDonald's Happy Meals as hats on heads, you know, mirror dresses. It was fun. It was fun. Hopefully they do something crazy. I can't stand another Gucci as of right now. Oh, you don't want them to pare things back. Are focused on the craft. I think there's There's a difference between playfulness and childishness. Jeremy Scott and Moschino was usually the latter. Jesus Christ. Everyone has come. I don't know what is in the air today. People have come on smoke. What is in the air tonight? I don't know. I think Moschino was playful. Yes, in a childish way. I can see what you're talking about. There's definitely a childishness. Even like if you think of the themes, like even just this whole like I was making fun of like obviously the Happy Meal sort of McDonald's inspired shows, and you know, like a mirror dress. It's like literally a little kid in their bedroom, like practicing to be a princess. It just reminds me of like when you read about Elsa Schiaparelli, and she talks about how for those of you that know your fashion history, Elsa Schiaparelli talks about how her mum had this really interesting collection of clothes, and Schiaparelli found this like chest, I think in the attic of her house or something like that, and she would just like play dress up in her mum's clothes and just imagine herself in different worlds. And that is also why like surrealism, she's so drawn to surrealism, because that's kind of how she grew up, always dreaming about things, right? So yeah, it just reminds me of that. Just wondering if there are any women designers or other POC designers that would have also been perfect for the creative director role. I mean, there are loads of POC designers that are women. Unfortunately, I think because fashion is like hyper commercial right now, you either have to be a big name designer, so you have to be like famous as hell, like Pharrell, to get a look in, or you have to be, you know, from the right places. I know we have this conversation around the fact that, and I know it was a big conversation, especially for Kering, that there's just like white male designers, which I understand. But I also think that in a way, not necessarily that it's okay, all the designers are white men, but what I do like about the appointments are not, they're not hiring celebrities that don't have a clue what they're doing, like Pharrell. They are hiring designers that are proven, designers that have worked at brands for 10 years, 20 years plus, skilled designers, you know, seasoned designers. Because I remember before that, the conversation we were having was around the fact that what's the point of even becoming a good designer anymore if it doesn't matter? If all that matters is being, you know, famous. So I think now we've shifted into, now we're actually hiring designers that have experience and do come from a design background. So I don't know where I sit in that conversation, because there's always going to be something wrong with the appointments. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club, where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.